Okay, so you've got like a ton of research here about the early stages of innovation, that exciting but often chaotic phase where ideas are, well, born and where they either like take flight or they completely faceplant.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you really want to understand how to navigate that crucial fuzzy front end
Yeah.
because you know how much those early decisions can make or break a new product or service or even a process.
Right.
So let's just dive right into this stack of research you've shared and see what we can uncover.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating about the fuzzy front end is that everyone agrees it's crucial, yet it often remains the least structured part of the entire innovation journey. It's this whirlwind of uncertainty, limited data, and yet the decisions made here they have a huge impact on everything that follows.
Yeah, it's like trying to plan a cross-country road trip when you don't even have a map yet.
Right.
Exciting, but maybe a little daunting.
Yeah.
One of the papers that you shared, PDF, The Fuzzy Front End of Innovation, really kind of digs into this. And they actually offer a helpful framework, I think, for figuring out which tools and approaches work best, depending on how much uncertainty you're dealing with.
Right. And that framework is really insightful, I think, because it acknowledges that you wouldn't use the same approach for like a minor product tweak
Right.
as you would for a radical innovation that's, venturing into uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And it really maps out these two key dimensions of uncertainty.
Okay.
You've got market uncertainty, like, do we even know people want this thing?
Yeah.
And the technical uncertainty, like, can we even build this thing?
Right. It's like choosing the right gear for a climb, right? Sometimes you need a well-worn map, and sometimes you just need like a compass and a prayer. Speaking of venturing into the unknown, the paper also talks about this approach called the lead user method, where instead of just asking, the average person on the street what they want, you find those super users, those people who are already like living in the future.
Exactly. Lead users, these are those passionate individuals
Yeah.
who are so driven by a need or a problem that they're already out there creating their own solutions.
Mm-hmm.
They're pushing boundaries, they're hacking things together, and their insights can be so valuable for innovators.
Yeah, it's like that saying, skateboarding companies don't invent new tricks, skateboarders do.
Right.
But the paper gives like some really concrete examples of this, like how 3M used this approach to create those little sticky notes,
Right.
the ones that like appear overnight.
Yes, the Post-it note.
Yes.
A classic example of lead user-driven innovation.
Yeah, so cool.
And you remember Gatorade?
Yeah.
That, too, came from understanding the needs of lid users, in this case athletes who are pushing their physical limits. So by tapping into the experiences of those who are already on the bleeding edge, you can get this glimpse into the future of customer needs.
It's like having a time machine for market research.
Right.
Now, on a completely different note, there's this other method the paper mentions called TRZ. It's a Russian problem-solving system that honestly sounds a little bit like something out of a spy movie.
TRZ is fascinating. It's all about systematically analyzing problems and finding innovative solutions by looking for analogies in seemingly unrelated fields.
So it's like, how can we make this new vacuum cleaner quieter? What if we looked at how owls fly silently?
Exactly. It might sound strange, but companies like General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, even Ford, they've used TRZ to generate some really, truly breakthrough ideas because it forces you to think outside of your usual boxes and consider solutions that might not be immediately apparent.
So we've got these tools for generating ideas and understanding our market, but then there's the whole other issue of cost. We can't just ignore the financial side of things.
Right.
Especially in those early stages when, resources might be limited.
Yeah.
And you actually included the paper that addresses this very topic.
You're absolutely right. The article, Cost-Aware Product Decisions, it makes a really compelling case for bringing those cost considerations much earlier in the development process. It's about what they call shifting left on cost, just like developers did with testing and software development.
Which, by the way, is a whole other rabbit hole we could go down.
Exactly.
You even included a Wikipedia article on shift left testing in this stack.
Yeah.
But for now, let's stick with cost.
Yeah,
so it's not just about saving money, right? It's about making smarter decisions from the very beginning.
Exactly. Instead of waiting until you're knee deep in development to realize, oh, no, we can't actually afford to build this thing.
Right.
You integrate those cost considerations right from the product design phase.
Yeah, it's like deciding what kind of house you can afford before you start pouring the foundation.
Right.
You don't want to get halfway through and realize you can't afford the roof.
Exactly.
So how do you bring like the finance folks into the fold early on?
That's where the FinOps team comes in.
Okay.
They play this crucial role in this shift-left approach to cost management.
Okay.
They bring that financial expertise to the table and help ensure that cost is considered this critical design parameter. It's not just an afterthought.
Okay, so we're designing for cost, but how do you even begin to like estimate costs when you're dealing with something radically new, something that the world has like never seen before?
Right. Yeah, that's where things get, really tricky. Because like traditional like cost estimation methods, they often kind of fall apart when you're dealing with something, truly new.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting article in this stack. It's called The Economic Framework for Cloud Migration Costs. And it offers kind of a helpful perspective on this. And while it focuses specifically on cloud migrations, the underlying principles, they can really be applied to other innovation scenarios as well.
Oh, interesting. So even though it's about moving to the cloud, there are like takeaways that apply to creating like a brand new product or service.
Exactly. And it really emphasizes the importance of, first of all, establishing a solid, pre-migration baseline.
Okay.
Which in our case would translate to really understanding your starting point, right? Like what are the current costs you're trying to improve upon, or what are the potential costs of not innovating?
Yeah.
And then from there, you need to develop like a comprehensive business case for your innovation.
Okay.
Really outlining like the potential return on investment.
So you're like building the financial justification for your big idea.
Exactly. You're showing that it's not just a cool concept, but it's a sound investment.
Yeah.
And just as you wouldn't, pour concrete without first checking the foundation, right?
Right.
You need to constantly be measuring and evaluating the value of your innovation throughout the entire process. Like, are you hitting your cost targets? Are you achieving those desired performance improvements? Are you getting closer to your ultimate goals? And if not, you need to be prepared to adapt and to adjust your course.
So it's not like a set it and forget it kind of approach. It's the fuzzy front end might be fuzzy, but it also needs to be like flexible.
Absolutely. It requires this real delicate balance between, having a roadmap, but also being willing to deviate from that roadmap when necessary.
Right.
You need to be, comfortable with uncertainty. You got to be open to experimentation and always ready to learn from both your successes and your missteps.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about like tools and frameworks. We've even touched on the financial side of things.
Yeah.
But what about the human element of all this?
Yeah,
because it's not just like spreadsheets and algorithms that are driving innovation, right?
Right.
There's got to be this whole other layer of collaboration and communication that needs to happen.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
In fact, several of the research papers in this stack, they really highlight that crucial role of cross-functional collaboration.
Okay.
Especially in the fuzzy front end.
Yeah.
You need to bring together these diverse perspectives from, across the organization, engineers, marketers, finance folks, designers, even those lead users we were talking about earlier.
Right. It's like assembling like the ultimate innovation Avengers team or something.
Exactly.
But it's not enough to just like have everyone in the same room, right? Yeah. You need to create a culture where those wild, outside-the-box ideas can actually, like, flourish.
Exactly. A culture that, that encourages experimentation, that tolerates failure, as long as you learn from it, and that rewards those who are brave enough to challenge the status quo.
Right.
And one paper here, Managing Discontinuous Innovation, it really digs into this.
Okay.
It emphasizes the need for those internal champions, those visionaries who can, nurture these radical ideas and protect them from those corporate antibodies that often, kill creativity.
Yeah. It's about, fostering that internal spark, that passion for bringing something truly new into the world.
Right.
And speaking of keeping that spark alive, communication seems to be another major theme across a lot of these sources.
Absolutely. Communication it's crucial, especially when you're navigating the ambiguity of the fuzzy front end.
Right.
Everyone needs to be on the same page, understanding the goals, the risks, the potential rewards. And one of the papers here, from experience, applying performance support technology in the fuzzy front end.
Yeah.
It discusses how Nortel created this more structured process for developing and evaluating ideas. And they actually used technology to facilitate, communication and transparency throughout the process.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's about making sure that those brilliant ideas, they don't get lost in the shuffle.
Right.
And that everyone has access to the information they need to, to make smart decisions.
Exactly.
And it's not just about internal communication either, right? You've got to be talking to the outside world as well.
Precisely. Engage with those lead users, potential partners, even the broader ecosystem.
Yeah.
And there's an article here, Co-Creating Innovations with Users, that makes a really compelling case for involving users throughout the entire innovation journey, not just at the beginning, or at the end.
Yeah. It's about breaking down those silos, I guess.
Exactly.
And recognizing that innovation, it rarely happens in isolation.
Right.
Two heads are often better than one.
Right.
And sometimes you need a whole room full of heads to really crack the tough challenges.
Exactly.
Speaking of challenges, another theme that seems to keep popping up is the importance of speed.
Time is definitely a factor.
Yeah.
Especially in today's, rapidly changing world.
Yeah.
Companies, they can't afford to spend years stuck in the fuzzy front end, endlessly analyzing and planning and,
Right.
One of the paper's critical development activities for really new versus incremental products found that when it comes to these discontinuous innovations, getting those prototypes built early on was essential.
Oh.
And in some cases, they actually found that building the prototype actually happened before they even did, like formal opportunity analysis or financial modeling.
Wow. So it's about getting your hands dirty, right?
Yes.
Testing your assumptions.
Yeah.
Failing fast.
Yes.
Learning even faster.
Exactly. And that's where tools like the design structure matrix, or DSM, can be really helpful.
Oh yeah, that was the one from MIT, right?
That's the one.
The one that helps you map out all those interconnected tasks and dependencies.
That's the one. It's essentially this visual tool that helps teams to understand the flow of information and to identify those potential bottlenecks or areas where rework might be necessary.
So it's like a roadmap for navigating the complexities of innovation.
Exactly.
Helping you to avoid those costly delays and rework cycles.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it really just reinforces the reality that innovation it's rarely a linear process.
Right.
There will be, detours, there will be roadblocks, maybe even a few U-turns along the way.
Sure.
But that's all part of the journey.
Yeah. It's about embracing those unexpected twists and turns and being open to new information and just adjusting your course as needed.
Exactly.
So we've covered so much ground here, from those big picture frameworks to, the nitty-gritty tools. But I'm curious, amidst all this talk of, embracing uncertainty and adapting on the fly, is there ever a point where you can confidently say, okay, we're out of the fuzzy front end now? How do you know when that messy experimental phase, transitions into more structured development?
Yeah, that's a question a lot of people ask. And it's not always a clear-cut line in the sand, but the paper towards holistic front ends in new product development, it offers some helpful criteria. Mm-hmm. They suggest that you've likely navigated out of the fuzzy front end when you have three key elements in place.
Right.
First, you've got a clear, well-defined product concept. It's not just a vague idea anymore. You know what you're building.
Right.
Second, you've got a detailed plan outlining how you're actually going to get from this concept to a real product.
Right.
And then third, and maybe most importantly, you have a firm go decision from leadership. They're on board and resources are allocated.
So it's not enough to just have a cool idea and a way to build it. You need that organizational commitment to really kind of shift gears.
Exactly. It's about transitioning from exploration to execution.
Right.
But don't think for a second that all your challenges just disappear once you're past those early stages.
Oh, I imagine not. Innovation's like a a bit of a roller coaster.
Right.
So what kind of like curveballs should I be prepared for as we move beyond those initial phases?
Well, the paper factors influencing success at the project level, it highlights like some common pitfalls that can really trip up teams.
Okay.
Even after they've got a solid plan in place.
Yeah.
Communication breakdowns, those can derail a project in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Then there's the ever-present challenge of just inadequate resources.
Right.
Whether that's funding or the right people or even the necessary technology, and then of course maintaining that support from the top. That's crucial. If leadership starts to waver, it can send these ripples of uncertainty throughout the entire team.
So it's all about like maintaining momentum, making sure everyone's like stays on the same page.
Yes.
And making sure that the project has, the fuel it needs to actually reach the finish line.
You got it.
Yeah.
And as that project progresses, the stakes get higher, the pressure builds, and those elements just become even more critical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint, as they say.
Right. It strikes me that the same skills that are like essential for navigating the fuzzy front end, that adaptability, the openness to new information, the willingness to learn from mistakes, those are equally important for kind of shepherding and innovation through to the very end. Right?
Couldn't agree more. Those qualities are invaluable at every stage of the innovation journey.
Yeah.
From that initial spark of an idea to actually bringing a successful product or service to market.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I have a much better grasp of the fuzzy front end now. Not just as like a chaotic phase to get through, but as this really rich creative space that's just so critical to innovation.
Before we wrap up, is there any final piece of advice that you would give to someone who's about to embark on their own innovation journey?
Don't let the uncertainty of the fuzzy front end intimidate you.
Okay.
It might feel messy and unpredictable, but that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Embrace experimentation. Don't be afraid to fail. Learn from everything you do, and never stop asking questions.
I love that. Embrace the mess, because as we learned today, that's often where the most groundbreaking ideas are born. Thanks so much for guiding us through this incredible deep dive. It's been truly illuminating.
My pleasure.
And for our listeners, as you navigate your own fuzzy front end, remember to keep your eyes peeled and your mind open to the unexpected, because those seemingly unrelated ideas, those chance encounters, those aha moments, those are often the seeds of truly breakthrough innovations.